aký môže byť ľudský príbeh, lebo aj tie vedia byť extrémne zaujímavé. A my si teraz jeden z nich vypočujeme na pódiu priamo od veľmi zaujímavého človeka, ktorý chcel ako dieťa ešte byť bankárom z Wall Street. Ale všetok svoj voľný čas venoval svojmu koníčku, čo bolo natáčanie filmov, organizovanie filmových festivalov, až sa nakoniec ponoril do sveta kinematografie a stal sa filmovým a videoproducentom. No a následne už potom v rámci jeho kariéry pracoval na viac ako 500 produkciách s miestnymi európskymi talentami, ale aj s veteránmi hollywoodského priemyslu. No a jeho filmy si získavali uznanie a ocenenie na viac ako 50 medzinárodných scénach. A nakoniec sa jeho kariéra vyvinula tak, že všetky tieto znalosti a skúsenosti z toho sveta filmu posúva ďalej ako rečník, globálny rečník a zároveň sa stal koučom produktivity a výkonu. Ak sa vám toto celé zdá ako príbeh z filmu, tak sa dobre pozrite na jeho hlavnú postavu, ktorou je náš ďalší speaker a volá sa Stoyan Yankov. Privítajme ho aspoň podleskom.
Ahojte, Slováci. All right, so let's talk about innovation. How many of you here work for a company? How many are students? Okay, anybody entrepreneur here? Some entrepreneurs? Good. CEE, beautiful region, beautiful people, and of course a place that is great in rising up in innovation, right? The region has been improving rapidly in the last few years. The land of more than 44 unicorns, companies being valued over $1 billion American dollars. Hopefully soon, the first Slovak unicorn is going to be born as well. And the factors for that to happen are many. Conferences like this one, improving on the investment environment, the funding, corporates that are investing in innovation, startups that are coming, mentors, all that great factors. Today, though, I would like to talk to you about a different angle. I want to talk to you about what you can do in your organization, inside your organization, in order to start creating cultures of innovation. Culture of innovation, the work environment that leaders cultivate in order to nurture unorthodox thinking in its application. How do we build this type of organizations? How can we create cultures where we remove the obstacles for our people to be able to innovate, right? To perform sustainably well in a long period of time. I embarked on a journey together with this gentleman a few years ago. He's the CEO of Startup Wise Guys, the leading startup acceleration program in Central Eastern Europe. They invested in more than 420 companies in the past several years, and we tried to answer this question: How do we create a culture of innovation? Okay, let's go and let's talk to the people who already did it. Successful founders from the region, business leaders, a lot of different people talking to corporates, businesses, business leaders, and trying to figure out the recipe. And after these hundreds of conversations, we found out one thing. It's not that sexy as it looks. Building a culture of innovation, it's about doing the work. It's not rocket science, but we need to start creating these habits, organizational habits, and we ought to do it consistently, right? Consistency is always going to beat intensity. I can decide, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to be strong, okay? I do it for 6 hours, I push myself to the limit, I get my protein shake, boom, I'm strong. Well, not really, right? You gotta commit to a plan. You gotta get the best resources and recipes, but at the end of the day, doing the things that matter consistently over a long period of time is probably going to get you the results. And then again, what are the kind of areas we need to focus on? Let me lead you through 7 areas, and the acronym is PERFORM, 7 areas that many of you might very well know, but it doesn't mean you do it consistently. You focus on it consistently. Doesn't matter if you're a manager or if you're an employee in a company. These things you have a chance to contribute to. Perform. What does that stand from? P, purpose and values. defining and crafting the culture of your organization. Every company has a culture. The question is, did the leaders take the time to intentionally create this culture? To make sure that we're following the values. We have the same philosophies, the same way we're doing things, right? It usually starts with, why do we exist? You know, maybe most of you have seen the Simon Sinek, start with the why, you know. Okay, but it actually works, it's practical. When you know what's the why of the organization, what is the mission, what's the purpose of the organization, you're a lot more likely to go through struggles and difficulties, right? You wake up in the morning, you're feeling, why do I do that? Well, this is why we do it. Let's move. You're a lot more likely to attract the best talent. You have a strong cause. To attract investors, to inspire customers to join. It's just practical, right? Going through difficulties and struggles. See, I used to be an award-winning movie producer, having my video production company. Well, guess what? Because of different circumstances, we had to close down the company. All of a sudden, I have a dream, I have a why, right? But I need to go and sleep in offices. I need to go and wash dishes in Radisson Hotel at 30 years old, right? Award-winning producer. Okay, let's put my ego aside and let me show up. And it wasn't always easy, right? You wash dishes until 3 in the morning, and then you show up the next day, super smashed, right? And you do a workshop in front of a company teaching them how to be successful. Wow, great, right? But that's how you do it. When you have your why, when you're motivated and inspired, you can prevail anything. When you identify what's the why, the heart of the organization, and inspire people to join because of it, right? Then you can go through things. Let me give you a couple of examples. This is my accountant, by the way. Some of you work for companies. This is my accountant. I help small business owners sleep better at night. That's his purpose. I'll give you another example. Lady from Bulgaria, Lubomila, she's running a really cool startup called Plan A for the Planet, in climate change. I interviewed her on my podcast, and then we talk about talent attraction. Because they became 120 plus people. I'm like, how do you guys get top talent in such a short period? And she smiled at me and she said, well, you know what? We actually don't have to look for talent. There's a waiting list of people inspired to join the company. We don't need to look, we just have to pre-screen them. So what is the why of your organization? Why do you exist? How are you different than your competitors, making the life of people better? And are you good as a leader to communicate that across the organization, to inspire people to believe in that, right? And it doesn't have to be something super special, right? Vivino, the founder of Vivino, this is their purpose. We help people drink better wine. Everybody who's inspired, join us, right? Could be simple. Okay? The second part to it is the values. How do we operate? I used to think values is just, for the HR department. You put an ad, and you attract people, you put the values there, nobody cares about them. No, values is actually something that's understanding your values is something that helps you to operate in a certain way, right? When do you have to talk about these things? Well, if you ask some of the most successful and effective leaders, they'll tell you yesterday, last year, day one. But if you haven't done it yet, maybe you want to have these conversations now. And often organizations, I work with a company, Swedish company, by the way, operating in Bulgaria. They were growing 50-60% on average for the past 10 years. Okay? So they identified their values, their culture very clearly, but after 10 years and so many new people, it's very easy to get sidetracked and not understand what they mean. Even for my small team. I have a team of several people, remote team. Okay? I thought, okay, we crafted the values. We're so clear. People don't understand. Productivity and ownership. What does that mean to me? It's going to be different what it means for Eleonora from my team, right? So we need to go deeper. All right, guys, let's come together. Let's define what does that mean to live our values. Is everybody willing to be part of this company. This should be part of your recruitment, pretty much, right? This is who we are, this is what we stand for. Understanding your culture, understanding your values, and living them as a leader, okay? Moving on, effective planning. But Stoyan, I don't have time to plan my time. I'm just so busy. There's so much time we have to do in the company. You don't understand. I'm constantly being thrown tasks at me. Really, you don't have time to plan your time. Or maybe you haven't planned. You haven't started planning and organizing your time. Now you have no time for anything. How about you take a step back and show up as a leader and say, you know what? I'm going to have more discipline. I'm going to show up and I'm going to create space on a daily basis in which I'm seeing the whole picture. I'm not operational, I'm not doing anything, 20 minutes in my calendar just to see the whole picture and ask myself, am I doing the right things? Am I focused on what matters, right? Did I organize my day, my week, my month so I know what's the end result? I come from movie production, guys. When we create movies, we need to plan everything to a single detail. This is a scene from a movie I produced. Okay, so you start with a big vision. This is how it's going to be, amazing. And then you come to the reality. Oops, we don't have the resources. We don't have all the budget. But we have this big vision, right? So this is what it looks like to produce a sci-fi kind of movie, right? This is in Denmark, a construction area. We had to do it on Sunday because, hey, we couldn't do it in the week. There's a guy there we bought him a IKEA leaf blower, so it looks like there's the wind in the face of the lady. And this is it. This is innovation, right? This is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to build. All right, how do we utilize the resources maximally so we can actually create something like this? The best organizations, by the way, this is the behind the scenes, right? Planning. The best organizations know they have to build this mindset of productivity. They have to set up the goals and different things, right? They have to organize planning. I mean, it's simple stuff, you guys know that. But how do we plan and set objectives? How often do we track and measure those objectives? Couple of examples. Slovak company. Anybody from IRIM here? Okay, so Slovak company, IRIM, they have a very specific methodology. Like, okay, we're doing OKRs. Every 3 months, we're doing it this way. It's a public file. We measure it this time a month. Okay, that's how we do it. Everybody's on the same page. A company from Hungary. By the way, this is a really good thing you can take. Talentuno. They're in HR. Okay, so what are the priorities for each department? Every month, they come together and they have to pitch to the rest of the managers what their priorities are. And they even have a rule of thumb. All right, my number one priority, 30%. Top 5 priorities should take 90% of our department. They discuss it, everybody's on the same page. Daily time management. A lady from Denmark. This is a company called Knowledge Gate Group. What do you do on a daily basis to be on top of your game? Right, to produce the results. What are the results you want to produce? Okay, how do I get the most of my day? Let me schedule it. Being the leader for your people. If you're not organized, how do you expect your people to be organized, right? Roles and responsibilities, moving on. Wait, I'm the chief marketing officer. Okay, but what do you do? What exactly do you do? Are you clear what is expected from you? What are your commitments and accountabilities, right? And as leaders, we need to understand also, we need to prioritize and pay attention to our people. What do they want to develop in? What are they passionate about? Often we're really good in understanding what they're good at, but how many conversations did you have with your team and ask yourself, hey, what are you excited about? What motivates you? What are some of the skills that you want to develop? Okay? Having the human factor in part of it. Very simple exercise. You ask your team, hey guys, traffic light exercise. These are all the things that we do in our department. Could you put your color? Green, love that stuff. Yellow, kind of, it's kind of cool. But, not so excited. Red, I don't like to do that. Cool. Now that we know where you are, let's have a real conversation. What your responsibility is going to be from here, okay? Moving on, focus and execution. You can be extremely good in planning, but at the end of the day, it's about focusing on these 2-3 things that matter most as a manager and helping your employees to identify what their priorities are, right? The best leaders, the most effective leaders are extremely good in saying no. Greek founder of Close.com. My biggest productivity tool is saying no. Saying no to things. And when it comes to innovation, it's about speed. Speed is what brings innovation. You gotta be really fast. And we're not really good in Eastern and Central Europe into allowing for mistakes to happen. Let's be honest. You gotta be perfect. People are stressed. If you want to innovate, you need to allow for 10, 20, 30, 40% sometimes for things not to work out. But you gotta do it fast, right? So you can move. You can get the feedback and you can move. Payhawk, the first Bulgarian unicorn company. They made it to a unicorn status for 4 years. Okay? What did they do? Well, they experimented a lot. 25 iterations of their price and their offering. 25. When I heard about it, it's like, man, when I launched it, I want it to work. These guys launched 25 times. This is innovation, right? Optimal energy, another one. Empowering well-being. Doing the small things, taking breaks, drinking water, sleeping, showing up in optimal state and creating a culture where these things are embraced. What practices do you do? I have a small team. We came up with this thing called Personal Development Hour. Once a week, it's a company hour. I pay them to be there. We have a conversation. One person from the team is going to lead the session on personal development and well-being. Habits, time management, right? Allowing for space for these conversations to happen. And then it leads to performance, of course. Okay, robust communication. This is a guy who, Hollywood cinematographer, interviewed him on my podcast. We talk about leadership and ask him, what are your challenges as a leader? He said, my biggest challenge as a leader, Stoyan, is to make sure that every person from my team is making the same movie. Right? Think about your company. Is the marketing and the sales and the operations, is all the departments making the same movie? Or do you have to better your communication? And one way to do that is to create space for feedback to happen. Again, we are not so good into allowing to be seen as somebody who makes mistakes. Oh, I'm gonna just push it through. I gotta be strong, man. My people have to see me as I'm strong. Well, sometimes you gotta say, hey guys, I made a mistake. I did that and that. Can you help me out? What would be the feedback from you? And then you allow them to be feeling safe to come and say, I made a mistake. Hey, this is not working. I love when my people come and say, Stoyan, you gotta step up your game, man. This and this is happening, okay? This is how culture of innovation is built. This is how Pixar is built an app that's now downloaded by more than 1 billion people, okay? Last but not least, mental toughness. Our capability to deal with stressors. What do you do when things are not going by plan? How do you find the strength and calmness to lead your team during the storm? I'm going to ask you a question. What is the commonality between fitness, gym places in Central and Eastern Europe? Anybody knows what's the common thing? Okay, I'll tell you. There's always gonna be a female cleaner that's going to come into the male changing room during working hours, and she's just gonna do her job. You've probably seen some of these. I talked to one of them, I just look at her smiling, and she's like, man, I've been working here for 20 years. If you know what I've seen. She didn't care. She was completely blunt. She was just doing her job. People being naked, walking around with their towels and stuff, right? She doesn't care. So how about we start being like the cleaning lady in the men's changing room, right? When things are happening around us, we remain calm and we just focus on solving the problem, right? So 7 areas: purpose and values, effective planning, roles and responsibilities, focus and execution, optimal energy, robust communication, mental toughness. Look at them carefully. Maybe do a session with your team and ask them, hey guys, how would you rate these areas from 1 to 10? Let's have a discussion. let's see where are the gaps and what can we do to improve our team culture so we can allow innovation to happen. Okay? And before we finish, I want to give the word to Joe Foster, who's the founder of Reebok, just to finish up with a few closing words.
But yes, accept failure and don't listen to too much advice. Don't listen too much to me. I can't give you much advice, except believe in yourself. Yeah. Believe in yourself. And if you've got the passion, you'll get there, because it's passion that wins.
Don't listen to too much advice. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And if you've got the passion, you'll get there. I hope you guys, if you want to connect, I'm going to be here the whole day, today, tomorrow. I'm happy to talk about innovation, talk anything else. So come talk to me. Obviously, if you're interested in these kind of things, go check out our book, Perform the Unsexy Truth About Startup Success, and free podcast, Productivity Mastery, when I talk to more than 160 people now, like the president of Starbucks, unicorn founders, about culture, innovation. But yeah, be happy to connect with many of you. So let's keep performing. Thank you so much.